Hello, I'm Commander Y, and welcome to my Black Ops 3 weapon review. In this episode, I'll be covering the combat knife. The combat knife is a secondary weapon unlocked at level 40 in Create a class. It's a sharp blade with a single purpose, to slash through your opponents. It fires no projectile and works only at the closest of ranges, but in the right hands it is terribly efficient. Shots to kill. The combat knife will kill in one slash. Here's the thing though, the combat knife is not like other weapons I've reviewed. It doesn't fire a projectile, it's a melee weapon that kills with one slash. So as long as you lunge at the enemy and hit them with the knife, it will always be an instant kill. Rate of fire. The combat knife slashes at 92 RPM or SPM slashes per minute. Compared to other instant killing weapons like shotguns per se, this is actually a high RPM. The KRM-262 for example fires at just 60 RPM. So statistically the combat knife can kill more enemies than similar shotguns in a shorter amount of time. Accuracy. The combat knife has virtually perfect accuracy. As long as the enemy is within your field of view and close enough, the combat knife will almost always execute a perfect lunging kill. There are some rare situations where a wall or some obstruction will partially block you from hitting the enemy, but besides that, the combat knife is a very so-called accurate weapon. Mag size and reload. There is no mag or therefore reload on this weapon. Also, the blade does not dull or become any less efficient. It has unlimited use. Now that we've gone over the major stats of this weapon, it's time. Let's build a custom class perfect for the combat knife. This class will be centered around intimidation. That's right, we're going to break the enemy down by getting up close and personal, fighting in the most primitive of ways. This class will also be resourceful. You'll use special tools to close the gap between you and the enemy, and you'll end up approaching the battlefield in an entirely new way. Finally, we're going to introduce the idea that this class will be quite literally insane. You'll take risks that you normally wouldn't with any other weapon, and it will either pay dividends or blow up in your face. Point 1 goes to the combat knife, of course. Point 2 to the combat axe. This is a retrievable throwing axe that causes instant death. More than just a backup weapon, it's a way to extend your range so that with a bit of skill you can take down anyone. Be careful though, in many engagements you'll only have the time to pick one weapon, knife or axe. The knife is usually the more consistent kill, so try to line up combat axe kills only in obvious situations. Point 3 goes to the smokescreen. This is an important tool for intimidating your enemy. Throw it near choke points or objectives, and the enemy will have to decide if they want to storm through the smoke or wait it out. In either case, you'll be lurking around the smoke, ready to attack. Point 4 goes to the blue perk, Six Sense. This perk will notify you in the minimap when an enemy is very close to you. This is incredibly important for a weapon like the combat knife. If you know where the enemy is, it makes it easier to strike them down. Also, Six Sense works through walls, so if an enemy goes above or below you, or is just in the next room, you'll have the info you need to approach situations in a more appropriate way. Point 5 goes to the wild card, Perk 1 Greed. This way we can run a second blue perk. Point 6 goes to that perk, Ghost. Ghost is a bit of a shoo-in for this class. You're almost always going to be on the move, and because Ghost only works when you're on the move, you'll be invisible to enemy UAVs. This freedom can allow you to get a little crazy. You can run in and out of the enemy spawn, through their capture domination points, and cross boundaries that most players wouldn't dare to cross. Point 7 goes to the green perk, Hardwired. This perk has a ton of useful features, but most importantly for this class, it will prevent trip mines and shock charges from activating when you run over them, so you'll be able to navigate the map, focusing only on terrorizing the enemy. Point 8 goes to the wild card, Perk 2 Greed. This way we can run a second green perk. Point 9 goes to that perk, Tracker. Tracker makes a digital imprint of the enemy's footsteps so that you can follow them for the kill. This is invaluable to our combat knife class because it introduces new enemies to your field of view that you may have otherwise missed. Point 10 goes to the red perk, Gung Ho. While it doesn't do much to assist your combat knife, it works wonders when deploying your combat axe and smoke. Normally when you pull out your combat axe while sprinting, you end up slowing down to walking speed, but with Gung Ho, you continue to sprint while lining up your combat axe. While it might not seem like much, it makes a big difference in keeping movement steady and preventing you from stopping everything just to line up a combat axe. To round off our class, we need a specialist. The obvious choice would be the Spectre and his Ripper ability. However, in my testing, the combat knife itself did almost as good of a job as the Ripper, so I'm going to recommend instead the Prophet's Glitch ability. This ability will flash you back to a previous position, so if you get into trouble, and you will, use Glitch to flash back into safety. It saved my back many times, and I'm sure it'll do the same for you. Of course, let's not forget about score streaks. For our knifing setup, I'll keep it relatively low. The UAV to track enemy positions, the counter UAV to block the enemy minimap, and lastly, the Guardian. You can use the Guardian as a sort of mousetrap to catch and eventually harvest enemy players. And that's it. That's our perfect class setup for the combat knife. This concludes my Black Ops 3 weapon review of the combat knife. If you'd like to be notified of the next episode in this series, you can subscribe. But until next time, I'm Commander Y.